Here we go. Okay. So Angela Nelson Photography and Engaged on Maui. We've got three basic parts that we do bi-monthly. The first of which is the associate pay. The second of which is the vendor pay. The third of which is in-house payroll. So I'm going to walk through all of them, one video, and hopefully you can jump around and figure out what you need when you need it. So right here, I've got the 12/1 pay for Amber, the 12/1 pay for Tanessa, and the 11/1 pay for Chantel. I grabbed Chantel. She hadn't done anything for a month, so I just grabbed hers as the template. All of them have pretty much the same pay in the background, but I use different spreadsheets for them so I don't have to change the names and stuff like that. So the first one we're going to enter is Tanessa's. She worked 2 different times for us. And both of them were on Engaged on Maui. So we'll go ahead and open up her spreadsheet. So the first thing I usually do is change the date range. So I'll go 12/1 to 12/15. Obviously your name's in here, and then I just enter the information off of the invoices. So the event date was 12/6/18. That's right here. The name, Ashley Gonzalez. And then, this is where it gets kind of dicey, right? Because you're not familiar with the lines of business, but usually simple proposal in the package drop down, there is a simple proposal. Select that, and then that auto tallies what the associate gets paid for that service. Now, there's a bunch of different things that can get added on, and that's the product 1, 2, or 3. I would encourage you to just scroll through this drop down just so you can become familiar with it. So when you see them pop up, you know what it is. There are none here. Common things are same day sneak peek, Orchid Lay Exchange, message in a bottle, travel to West Maui is another one that usually gets written in there. So for this one, we don't have any of those, and we're pretty much done.
But that doesn't match that.
No, because this is what we charged. That's what we're paying her. Yep. All right, so the next one, a little bit better. So we've got same day sneak peek. We've got a couple little things in here, and then there's this ukulele player, which is probably one of the invoices in here. So the next one, we're going to go 12/15/18. This is for Gabriel Sandoval. And this is a simple proposal. We'll select the package. And then for this one, he had a same day sneak peek. So Angie charges $50 for the same day sneak peek. We give the girls an extra 10. And that one's done. So I can see she had two shoots this pay period. She made a total of $310. Then what I'll do is I'll go File, Save As, and I usually create a new folder in the associate pay folder. So I'll go New 12/15/18, and then I'll title it 18/12/15 Tanessa Associate Pay. I'll save that. And then for my processes, I always print 2 copies of these. One goes in the paper file, stapled to a copy of the voucher for the check. The other one goes folded up in the envelope with the check to the associate, so then that way they can see we paid them for what and how much. I'm a big fan of that transparency, and it works well. Like the girls, and I always tell the girls, like, I'm an accountant, like I fuck shit up. If I'm wrong, let me know. I probably fuck up maybe 3 times a year, and they're really cool about it. So usually I do like a special check run if I mess something up. So I will go ahead and print these 2 copies of this right now, just as a part of my process. And then I got all sorts of other stuff. So that was Tanessa.
So how would I know that this service wasn't her service? Or needed to be on?
Ukulele player, like just by the like if it's not in the drop down, we don't pay him for it. So Chantel had 1. So we'll open up Chantel's. And then we're going to change this to 12, 1 through 12, 15. This was 12, 6, 18. And this was for Robert. This was a simple proposal. Lots of cheap dudes this time around. And then in this one, we have the orchid flower circle or heart.
Okay.
So we select that from the drop down. So obviously this is probably $50-$60 in materials cost, and then we pay the girls $10 to set it up. And then that's it for Chantel for this period.
Okay.
So we go File, Save As. Go into the 12-15 folder. 12-15. And so Angie and I will actually review associate pay every year. We usually do it right around the end of the year, so we're due to do this again. And at that point, I usually create a brand new template with brand new price schedules, and then that kind of supersedes everything else. So last one, and I'm going to go ahead and print those 2 copies.
So I would have a new template by the time I did this again.
I know you'd use the last one. For the last period. And then the last one is Amber. So we're going to go 12-3. So I need to do 12-1 through 12-15. The date is 12/3/18. And this one is an Air Maui private charter package, which is already selected right here.
Okay.
The only other thing is a videographer, and that obviously I don't have any product selections for that because that usually shows up as a sub invoice.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go ahead and go none. Just change those options. So now we were not paying. And then in this one, last time we paid her, she had 2. So I'm just going to make sure I clear out the information.
Got it.
So Angie put Tanessa for training. If we have an associate that's training another associate, we pay that associate $50 for the training. So I usually write that in on this area right here, because it's not built into the product information, probably for the new sheet. I'll build it in, or I'll build like a training option or something like that, because we've been doing that more. Typically, Angie was the only person who trained, but as the business has grown, we're like Amber and Chantel started with us 2 years ago, so they kind of know the lay of the land, and we're starting to lean on them. And we gave them a raise this year too, which was kind of cool.
So Angie gets these first, writes notes like this.
Yeah.
I get them, enter them, do them back to.
Yeah, and then like what I would encourage you, once you get these immediately, like you'll probably come up here and get them. Take a look at them and be like, hey, what do you want me to do here? And she'll tell you, because there's usually like 1 or 2 weird things. Usually Fawn prints these, but because Fawn's out on maternity leave, Angie's back doing it. All right. And then the only other thing is that typically we pay the people who are getting trained an hour. So we're going to add that to Nessa's sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go in here. We're going to save this one first. And then this is where printing them ahead of time bites me in the ass.
Sure.
So just have to make sure we give her the right sheet that has the training on it. So we're save Amber Associate Pay, and then we'll file print 2 copies for Amber, and then we're going to go back in to Tanessa. We're going to add in 12/3/18. This is for Andy May, and then I'm just going to go over. So we pay $25 an hour, and unless it's I'll probably we'll run through the next one, and then I'll give you a sheet. But simple proposal packages are an hour. The middle one, whatever that one is an hour and a half, and then the Lux is 2 hours.
Okay.
And I do have a spreadsheet that has all that broken out, but
Okay, good.
I'll give you that. So for in here, I'm gonna go. Oh, not that one. Next one down. Training 25. That shows up. I'm gonna the trainer gets 25 an hour. Trainer gets 50 flat. It will be in the future. It will be in the future.
So trainer 50 flat.
Trainee gets 25 an hour. Okay. So then that way, that's all my associate pay, right? I've got my invoices to enter. So I've got one here for Eureka Films. And the way I enter these invoices is in QuickBooks. So we go QuickBooks. This is, so we're in Landry Constructions books. So I'm going to go switch company. So smart. And these get entered like every other bill that gets entered into QuickBooks.
Okay.
So we go up here to the plus, go bills. So, Eureka Film Company, and a lot of the vendors are already set up in here. So they all are subcontracted services. 700. Oh, Angie already paid this one. So we don't need to create a bill. Daniel Fisher. Yes, these are without saving. Bill. Daniel Fisher. And bill number is 422. Count. Subcontracted services amount 900. Yeah. I mean, I don't because I cut checks right away, but that's a great habit.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, please do.
Okay.
Please do. And then so the only reason I know is because I entered these last time, so we paid an associate shooter on this last time.
Okay.
Jonathan Chow, but I always try and put him to the customer.
Okay.
So as you get familiar with it, it'll get easier. And then in the Engaged on Maui and Angela Nelson photography books, I have things classed.
Okay.
So this is going to go to EOM Maui.
You don't use any description?
Not on the bills usually. So save and new. Okay, and then I've got an Air Maui invoice. So these are kind of difficult. The way that they enter them is they enter the shooter into their system, and then they enter, And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put this all under Jonathan Chow.
Okay.
for 1282, but you have to know the last names of the shooters to know that they're not the customer.
Right.
But there's always a double on it, because the reason why they do that is they actually put it on a different reservation
Okay.
as opposed to the same reservation. So then that way, if somebody checks their reservation or they call in, because it's all surprise bullshit, right? Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So this one goes to Air Maui. Mailing address, blah, 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 blah. Bill date, 11/30. Subcontracted services. And this is 1282.50. Jonathan Chow. Engaged on, we get all the Air Maui stuff is going to be engaged on Maui. Most things are going to be engaged on Maui. We got to make sure we get the bill number in there, 14884. Oh, and then this is our last one. We're going to save and close. Everything's in. Next thing I'm going to do, so the girls, the in-house employees send their time. So Nicole sent me her time. We get these little CSV. They use the same software you do. So when I open these up, literally all I do is just sum up their hours. So 18 and a half hours. And they don't work a whole lot. So, and then we're going to save as. And then usually, let's go in here. Documents. Nelson photo. And I have an employee time records folder.
Okay.
I always save everything as an Excel workbook. And then you see, like, I've got everybody's fucking time that I saved. And then what I do with these is usually it's Nicole and Fawn. I'll print one copy of these on landscape. So that way I burn one sheet of paper. And I go scaling, fit on one page. So I burn one sheet of paper. But I will take these and I will, after I run payroll, I'll run the payroll report and I'll staple the time records to the payroll report. So in that way I have the payroll report that says I paid them for 18 and a half hours, and then I have their time record, which says I paid them. They told me they had 18 and a half hours.
And you put that with the check or into file?
So both of the girls are set up on direct deposit. So there's no checks, but I do email them back the direct deposit form. So the payroll for Angela Nelson Photography is completely paperless, which is something, call it like, May, when you're getting ambitious, I would love to transition the associates and the vendors to paperless. Yeah. Then that way we're not running checks anymore. So I'm going to print a copy of that. And then the next thing I do in QuickBooks is I'll go ahead and actually run the payroll, which is pretty simple. So if we go to workers, employees, let's say my next payroll is due December 19th, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click Run Payroll. Now, it's really important, since Fawn didn't work any hours, you still have to enter a 0 for her, or they won't let you run the payroll. And then Nicole had 18.5 hours. We can see it auto-calculates her net pay. Everything's squeaky clean. We're going to preview that payroll. You must either enter... Oh, sorry. That's right. Not 0. I have to uncheck it.
Okay.
There's something weird. It's preview payroll. Submit payroll. And then after you submit payroll, there is a, like in the center on the bottom, there's a view payroll reports.
Okay.
I'll open that. I'll export those to Excel. I trust it. So, and it's all these, right? It's not a ton of information here. So what I'll do is I'll go File, Print, and then it's important to say not active sheets, but entire workbook.
Okay.
So you get all all 5 pages. I'll print that. So those are the two things that get stapled together, just for paper files. I'll close that. And then after I'm here, go OK, go back, and then I'll do the same thing with the pay stubs. But because I'm digital,